At any rate, that ended her early years on film, and she felt something lacking in her career. She wanted to get back to her theater roots. She went back to New York. By this time, her relationship with Gary Cooper had ended, and she wanted to get back to theater. And she she read in the paper that Lillian Hellman was doing a revival of the Children's Hour. And so, along with, give me a moment, Teresa Wright, Kim Hunter, she did the revival in 1952 of the Children's Hour, which was successful on Broadway, not so successful on the road. It was during that period she met her husband, Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl at that time was a very popular short story writer. His articles and stories were appearing in various magazines at that time, and he also was doing some teleplays on television. At any rate, they met at a party that Lillian Hellman hosted. They did not like she did not like him at first. I'm sure if you talk to her, she'll tell you all about it. But they certainly fell in love, and they married in 1953. Pat concentrated on her theater career, but more importantly, she concentrated on her raising a family. In 1955, she gave birth to their first child, a daughter whom they named Olivia. And during this period, she made very few films. Actually, she did a couple of foreign films, a British motion picture and an Italian movie. And in 1957, she did Elia Kazan's A Face in the Crowd. And this, I understand, was shown Turner Classic Movies the night before last, or something like that. Her performance is amazing. I myself, I'm prejudiced, but I myself think it's the best thing she did in film. And the film wasn't a great success because it was a follow-up. It was not a follow-up, but it was done by Bud Schulberg and Elia Kazan right after On the Waterfront, which was a smash production. A Face in the Crowd dealt with a different thematic material. It introduced a lot of new faces. Andy Griffith's first film, Lee Remick, Carl Malden, Anthony Franciosa, and they needed a name. They got Patricia in there, and the film is a great acting study to watch, and of course Elia Kazan did a brilliant job on it, but it wasn't a great success at that time. And so Patricia and Roald kept home 6 months of the year in New York, 6 months of the year in England, and they raised their family. They started raising their children on both continents. In 1957, their daughter Tessa was born. And in 1959, Patricia, and this when I met Pat many years ago, I was kind of familiar with her film work, and I was a great fan. And I kind of knew that she had done this theater production or that theater production, but I really didn't know the scope and all of the work that this woman had done. And I did not know she was in the original production of The Miracle Worker with Anne Bancroft and Patty Duke. She played the mother. And it was, as Pat wrote in her own autobiography, As I Am, on opening night of that particular play, she got pregnant. And she had a son, born in 1960, a little boy they named Theo. It was around this time that tragedy started to stalk the family. Unfortunately, Theo was struck in his pram at the baby carriage. At the age of 4 months, he was struck by a taxi cab in New York, and his little body was crushed, and he suffered for many years. He fully recovered. He's a fine, strapping man. He and his wife, as a matter of fact, just had a baby a couple of years ago, and he's a good fellow. Looks just like Pat's dad. And at any rate, Theo, though, suffered for many years because of encephalitis, I think is how you pronounce it. And Roald himself actually invented a valve device that helped drain this liquid off. It quickly became obsolete as new things came in, and Theo never actually had to have that device because he started to recover very quickly. Their daughter Olivia, at the age of 7 in England, contacted measles in school, and literally overnight she passed away quite suddenly. And they didn't have what was called gamma globulin in England at that time. They did have it. They were administering it to Theo because of he was still an infant. But the doctor told Pat and Royal, let the girls get the measles, it'll be good for them. Well, it wasn't for Olivia, and she passed away quite suddenly. Patricia, though, had a revival in her career around this time because she had made a motion picture, HUD. This was filmed in 1962, and James Wong Howe did the photography on it. It starred her opposite Paul Newman and Melvin Douglas and Brandon DeWilde. Her role was actually very, very small. It was originally written for an African-American woman, and the character of HUD actually was just mentioned in Horsemen Pass By, the original Larry McMurtry novel. And they liked the character, they, meaning the screenwriters, liked the character so much that they developed the screenplay. They built Alma's role up. Pat made the most of each and every 25 minutes in that movie, and she won the Academy Award for 1963. In 1964, they awarded the award for her. Suddenly, her career was going quite well. She did In Harm's Way. She did a couple of pictures in England, and then she accepted a role. She wanted to work for John Ford, and John Ford hired her for 7 women. She came to Hollywood with her family, and on the 3rd day of shooting, she had kept it a secret. She was pregnant once again, and on the 3rd day of shooting, she suffered 3 massive strokes and was in a coma for 3 weeks. And Bancroft replaced her in the film, and Pat, as I think most people here are my age, remember the newspapers, the media, the international news picking up the fact that it was a long and arduous struggle, but through diligent work of Roald Dahl and medical advances and Pat's determination to come back, she made a remarkable recovery, and in 1968 she starred in her motion picture comeback. The subject was roses, and this particular film garnered her an Academy Award nomination. It was a remarkable recovery. She hit the most admired women's lists for several years, Good Housekeeping, etc. She was feted by presidents, and it's a remarkable and a heartwarming and inspiring story. Indeed, it was made into a television motion picture with Glenda Jackson and Dirk Bogarde, the Patricia Neal story. Pat's done several projects since then, innumerable motion pictures for television. She has been nominated for an Emmy. She's won Golden Globes. She is a remarkable actress, and now in the golden years of her life, she told me, and it's in the book, when I was doing my research and when I was talking to her, I said, gosh, Pat, you've done this, you've done that, you've been this, you've been that. And she said, now wait a minute, baby. She said, don't make me out to be a saint. I might have been a lot of things, but I am first and foremost an actress. And I tell you what, it was really inspirational today to watch her work with Billy Ray Cyrus and in Jim Amatuli's new film, Flying By. And this, after 6 decades, this woman is just lighting up the sky. This film is going to be great. She's a remarkable actress, a wonderful human being, and a good friend. And I'm tired today. I am very, very proud and very, very honored and very, very thrilled that you have the opportunity to meet Miss Patricia Neal.